She was a legend in her own time, a trailblazer who changed journalism forever. But before she became the world-famous Nellie Bly, she was just Elizabeth Cochrane, a girl from Pennsylvania with a fire in her belly. This is the story of how she shattered expectations and gave a voice to the voiceless. Our story begins in the 1880s. Elizabeth was reading a local newspaper, the Pittsburgh Dispatch, when she stumbled upon an article titled, "What Girls Are Good For." The piece was, to put it mildly, infuriating. It argued that a woman's place was strictly in the home. Elizabeth, never one to back down, penned a fiery, anonymous rebuttal and sent it to the editor. He was so impressed by her passion and sharp writing that he ran an ad asking the anonymous author to identify herself. Elizabeth did, and the editor, George Madden, offered her a job. But there was a catch. In those days, female journalists, or sob sisters, were typically limited to writing about fashion, gardening, and high society. Elizabeth wanted more. She wanted to tackle the tough stories, the ones that exposed injustice and inequality. She took on a pen name, Nellie Bly, inspired by a popular song, and her journey began. Her early work was groundbreaking. She went undercover into factories to expose the terrible conditions faced by female workers. She reported on the struggles of the poor and the failings of the legal system. But Pittsburgh was too small for her ambition. She knew that to make a real impact, she had to go to the biggest stage of all, New York City. In 1887, Nellie walked into the office of Joseph Pulitzer's New York World, one of the most sensational newspapers of the era. She didn't just ask for a job. She pitched an idea so daring, so dangerous, that it would cement her legacy. She proposed to feign insanity to get herself committed to the notorious women's lunatic asylum on Blackwell's Island, now Roosevelt Island. She wanted to expose the rumored abuse and neglect from the inside. Pulitzer agreed. For the next 10 days, Nellie Bly lived a nightmare. She practiced looking insane in front of a mirror, and soon enough, she was checked into the asylum. What she found was worse than she could have ever imagined. The food was inedible spoiled meat and stale bread. The water was filthy. Patients were forced to take ice-cold baths and were then left shivering in wet clothes. They were tied together with ropes and forced to sit on hard benches for hours on end, forbidden to speak or move. The nurses were cruel and abusive, beating patients who didn't comply. Perhaps the most shocking discovery was that many of the women weren't insane at all. They were simply immigrants who couldn't speak English, or women who had been committed by their husbands for disagreeing with them. They were trapped with no way to prove their sanity and no one to listen. Nellie documented everything. When the New York World's lawyers finally came to secure her release after 10 days, she had her story. Her 2-part series, 10 Days in a Madhouse, was an overnight sensation. The public was horrified. The expose triggered a grand jury investigation and led to massive reforms. The city allocated an extra $1 million a year to improve care for the mentally ill. Nellie Bly had not only written a story, she had changed the system. But Nellie was just getting started. 2 years later, she embarked on her most famous adventure yet. Inspired by Jules Verne's novel, Around the World in 80 Days, she pitched an idea to her editor. She would attempt to circumnavigate the globe in less than 80 days, setting a new world record. On November 14, 1889, Nellie Bly set sail from Hoboken, New Jersey, with just one small travel bag. She traveled by steamship, train, rickshaw, and even donkey. Her journey was a global media event. The New York World ran daily updates, and readers could guess her arrival time to win a trip to Europe. She became a celebrity, a symbol of American ingenuity and the modern independent woman. She raced through Europe, sailed across the Suez Canal, visited a leper colony in China, and even met Jules Verne himself in France. He cheered her on, saying, "If you do it in 79 days, I shall applaud with both hands. Despite numerous delays and challenges, including rough seas and missed connections, Nellie's determination never wavered. On January 25, 1890, she arrived back in New York. The final time? 72 days, 6 hours, 11 minutes, and 14 seconds. She hadn't just beaten Phileas Fogg's fictional record. She had shattered the real-world record. A massive crowd greeted her, and she was celebrated as a national hero. Nellie Bly's career didn't end there. She continued to write, using her fame to champion the rights of workers, women, and the poor. She later married a wealthy industrialist, Robert Seaman, and after his death, she took over his manufacturing company, becoming an inventor and a successful businesswoman in her own right. She even patented designs for a new milk can and a stacking garbage can. When World War I broke out, she returned to journalism, becoming one of the first female war correspondents to report from the Eastern Front. She fearlessly reported from the trenches, once again putting herself in harm's way to get the story. Nellie Bly's life was a testament to the power of courage, curiosity, and conviction. She wasn't just a reporter. She was an advocate, an explorer, and an innovator. She proved that journalism could be a force for good, a tool to expose truth and create change. She broke down barriers for women everywhere and showed the world what a woman with a notebook and a whole lot of nerve could accomplish. Her legacy is a reminder that one person's voice, when used bravely, can echo through history. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I do, please hit that like button